Yeah.
It's got here, our kids were out of school, so. It's.
We have one young, finished 2 years, and then you this tough. But the high school is still,
It's.
not even current, but it's still practice.
If anyone comes up to join, I just said, okay.
Right.
What does this mean?
So it's been, it's pretty.
And it's the other one props with the fitness.
Oh, good.
Okay. So I can chat around teams. They're probably not so much.
Hi, Tina.
Hello.
The ratings.
So.
Yeah, sorry. Bad.
It's
better.
I think she's.
Seniors.
Oh,
You feel like I have. Oh.
so they put it in really Monday, people.
Yeah.
That's probably. It's not your stuff. So there's an element. It's not.
I don't think anyone will, but you never know. And then when I'm all done, I just plug it, right?
So that could.
I just want to get it sorted.
Yeah, so they're.
Also,
Really, it's just where it gets in the different part.
the teachers that are teaching those are probably. Seniors. Full seniors, two and a half, 5. Basically. That's a new principle.
New principle.
All three schools have a new principal this year. That's interesting stuff.
Yeah, you're the only one, so let you have a chair at the table here. I wouldn't be good on television.
Jennifer, the room cut out.
Somebody's gonna say something.
She said that to you, Mom.
Yeah. We can have you sit in the middle, so we're all standing. Yeah.
Hey, Jennifer, the view of the room cut out somehow.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Actually, he's gonna say
So
it.
she can have the finance.
Because I'm like, now I have this, now I can't see the button.
Classification. Classification.
That was terrific.
This is just the online.
No, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good.
We can't do that.
I can, oh no. I can do the video.
Yeah, if you were to join without audience, probably.
While you're techie guys there, your sound's not coming through really well either.
And we don't have any microphones by us,
Yeah, you have to speak up there.
talking with the time.
Right, that's your microphone. The bottom's underneath. It does a fairly good job.
Yep, so do we have the situation, they're good to go, or?
I think we're good.
So, ask this. I guess, you have anything?
Oh, there's a-
No, she. Yeah. So we're good, right?
Yeah, there we go.
That's fine.
That's where it's gonna do all the sharing of things. Right? You. Shouldn't be up there. Oh, yeah, that's all right. We don't have to.
We have it. Anything else to do technical stuff? Okay. We're ready to go.
Let's do it. All right, so do we have a quorum on the finance? I think we do, but
Yes.
we're at 5, including one online. So then we'll call to order. Has the meeting been properly noticed?
Yes.
Wonderful. And so do we have a motion to adopt our very straightforward agenda? Oh, any seconds?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. So the minutes from the prior meeting, Jen, would you mind pulling those on the screen? Alright, I'll leave. So we pull up.
So I just think they share.
1996.
That was some, make it work. Not coming up here.
For sure.
So I'm sharing it across, which is not coming up here.
And the only reason I asked it, and maybe I missed the email, I saw the email with the agenda, so I don't think I saw the email with minutes, but if I'm the only one that missed it.
I believe that's what it's dead.
I saw an email that just said attachment of the minutes, the agenda.
Yeah, it didn't,
Did I?
I thought it came earlier. And when I found it earlier, it came on April 1st. I
Oh,
remember
we
the
did.
date. It came on April 1st. When I went back to get it, it was in my trash file and it just deleted the after.
Okay, yeah, in that case, I probably would need this.
Came on April 1st. I think that's the one where we put the little addendum on about
I
the.
did, that's what it's together.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know I looked at it at the time, you looked at the meeting. I didn't say that. That called on our corrections to the audit.
Yeah, just a little blurb.
So I was the only one, and I didn't to read this earlier, so I'm good with these minutes, so I'll make a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Okay, any owner comments here? And
Certification.
I would love to hear about it after. So let's jump into our finance committee action and discussion items. So the first thing would be the financial review from March. So I hope this is fairly straightforward. Jen, I thank you for continuing to use the new financial package. It looked like we had a relatively fun March. There were only a couple of items that I wanted to just get more a good perspective on. And that was the R&M items. If you just kind of speak a little bit more for that. I don't know if it's a comment, but just wanted to.
Oh, yes, the repairs and maintenance in March, you do want to brought to my attention, there was a pool heater. At Lakeside and an HVAC repair, I believe.
So how much is a replacement year?
It wasn't a replacement for the pool here, it was a replacement for
The breaker.
the breaker, the entire thing.
Okay, because we're going with this, and I think we had some similar conversation on this topic last time. In my mind, like a large dollar replacement repair item to me would fall under reserves rather than operating expense. But I don't know how much this one particular item was. An HVAC repair, I agree with the expense, signs are expense, but how much was the breaker panel?
All of it was like 50, 70. 60.
Almost $6,000. Okay, and
There
I
was a spring light. I don't
At
remember.
Lakeside,
Lakes.
Lakeside.
So we can kind of talk this as an agenda item, but I think that as a committee, we should talk kind of coming up with a threshold for recommending where these funds can come out of. In my mind, it's probably $5,000. An item like this is really not making sense. But geography, we can figure that one out.
So it may be mostly because it's considered a routine repair. But you could argue it was replacement of the entire thing.
Yeah, and the reason it's on my mind is it's like, to have a $4,000 variance, we missed budget by 26% in the month of March. I think of it like you're two items to be small dollar items, right, that kind of get absorbed in that budget. We didn't plan for a one-time expense of $6,000 breaker.
And it does extend it. It does extend it.
Extended life of the also, yeah.
I'm a little confused because the maintenance at Spring Lake is $6,758, maintenance. Lakeside, $2,000.
Oh, there's a two items.
No, I'll take it.
Spring Lake is 67, Lakeside is 3,000. Spring Lake is the HVAC repair. So that's Spring Lake. That's $6,000.
So is the comment just like the breaker replacement was in Spring Lake and the Lakeside?
No, Spring Lake was the HVAC repair.
The HVAC repair was almost $7,000. Because to Jim's point, the Lakeside actuals, I think that's 13.
Lakeside was an unbudgeted lighting invoice.
Oh, so I have the note. I apologize.
The replacement, the breaker replacement for the heater. $1,620. Spring Lake had $5,975 HVAC service. There was a mini split that needed to be replaced.
Spring Lake. And the pool front ones was all Spring Lake.
Spring Lake.
That's Spring.
So
That's what.
same thing, it's one,
8 years.
now the house is Spring. So it's
Okay, so the larger item initially being over a $5,000 threshold was a repair in Spring Lake. Okay, then I'm good. And when we do a repair like that, just for my education, do we have a preferred vendor? Do we
We do have a preferred vendor for HVAC, it's Westbrook. Anything that's over 10,000, even if it's.
Okay, and then remind me, the policy is over $5,000, you guys as the board have to say yes, okay, so you guys are looking on this one.
And this be corrected back in.
Yes.
It's the only other comment I had is we talked about timing of bills. Expenses, still a problem.
Water is a problem. This is what I'm referring to is what billings for. We don't believe it. So we're looking into.
Okay.
How far behind do you think we are, Jen? Because if I look at the year to date, because I really like what kind of order. The water variance is 20,000 down. Total variance for operating costs. Do you feel like that money is time?
No, I'm not quite sure what it is because they told us that some of the areas were zero. I don't believe that anybody should bill zero.
Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So we're questioning, we're working with. Yeah, we're working with them to have them double check to fix that. This it just doesn't make sense.
So they make mistakes with the houses, and the same people that are reading meters that are doing houses. But that's an infrequent occurrence. We've had an ongoing problem with water meter reading billings for going on 2 or 3 years.
Services, I think, absolutely, I
I
agree.
mean, it's just up, down, up, now a third below what we budgeted. Quite sure we took our last year end, and just divided it by 12 and jammed it in here.
Well, we tried. Little,
There might be some seasonality.
But I understand. yeah, so.
Somebody needs to sit down with Enterprise, maybe Lauren and you. Or
Yes.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Somebody in the management position and say that, well, this just isn't acceptable.
That's,
Mike, I'm already digging
There's Lauren.
Yeah, I have all of like the last 6 months worth of water bills that I'm digging through and wrapping my head around, and then I will be meeting with ECDD myself to go through them and figure out what's going on and what's causing these issues.
But Lauren, I would say that's not your job. You shouldn't be spending time analyzing the water bills. You should say to them, look at our history, something's wrong with the way you're billing us. You know, chart it out for the last 3 years and come back and tell me what's going on. Put it back on them.
I don't trust them to do it correctly because we've had what, $20,000 refund, we've had a $50,000 refund, and now we're having all these billing issues. Why am I mean, I can't trust them to go back the last 3 years and give me an accurate number.
Get a different water supply.
That might be easier said than done.
Yeah, let me know how to
We'll
do
dig a
it.
well.
It is Florida after all. We did, you know.
Water table's pretty high. If a little salt, it would be okay.
So a couple of other ones on the year-to-date page, and then I think we can go back if we need to. Landscaping, I know we're up, and that's mostly the variance explanation that was there from last month, the papers, the design work and all that. I think we had a capital success conversation around that too. But how did we, can you rebound me in the budget for this one, Jen? Because I know that we did a whole build of all of our contractual obligations, and then there was also a line item for the mulch and the kind of one-off type of things. Was that all budgeted like at midway through the year? Was that kind of spread evenly? Because I would have thought that like if it were spread quarterly, we would have kind of offset this variance from the time we started in March.
There are some things that are seasonally or quarterly. Mulches, that's kind of when that happens, what times of year that is, but the contractual, this was be 12 months, that's in there. But when we do things outside of that, like the design thing or some extra songs, you know, that's can't necessarily be limited.
No, but I guess what you're saying is that kind of comes up as an unbudgeted expense every time, but I might have kind of thought, I think it was $8,000 basically with mulch, and the rest of it was covering that sort of thing. And that's where I go back to, I think last time we talked about there being, the pay, I think it was the pavers being a large dollar item project. And I go back to, it's like, if it's all an unbudgeted thing, and it's like $1 amount, it should probably go back somewhere else. That's, because I hear you, like the plans and small dollar things would be here.
I know this year we did the side was unbudgeted at Lakeside. And then the playground mostly also.
Yeah, but I mean, for March specifically, we were basically on target. Let's see, it's what's. So,
Yeah, but we still have a year to date.
yeah, absolutely, quarterly, the actual pieces.
Okay. And then I think Jen, if you don't mind just looking, I think in the remaining section and year to date, there might be some kind of formula thing. It looks like for admin costs, we've got, like it says it's 9 million left against the formula budget. I think we're pretty much on, we're actually favorable, but it's showing a weird number there.
Oh, so maybe something separate.
There's a mess there.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah.
I can do it based off of the section. So I guess where I'm going is it feels like we've got a quarter in. We know that we may have an issue with water, but our operating costs are running 2% below plan, admin 8% below plan. Admin is where, you know, I would tend to think we would see some like real savings because from a compensation standpoint, more for starting later. And then overall our expenses are 3% behind plan. So if I annualize that, I get to about $215,000 or so. So I guess I just want to talk how much overall we feel is timing versus true savings.
I think there is some true savings in here. There's going to be some timing, obviously, but I think most of this is actually more the true savings.
True
That we're
savings.
seeing, yeah.
Well, that's good because last year we had, you know, that sort of $200,000 unbudgeted supplies at the beginning of the year with the repair. So it's nice to see you're trending in a more favorable direction.
But I think the question really is, what's the open headcount status?
Yeah.
Do we have open headcount right now?
We filled the last, no, yes, there's one. So one or two slots, okay.
You've probably had some since January. So whatever open headcount we've had through, we've got to
Maybe
reconcile.
we're talking about the station itself,
Yes.
yes.
So since January, it's been
So some of the savings may be just vacant positions.
Big game.
There is, yeah, there's gonna be some of that, but there, you know. some of it also was budgeted to start January 1, but yet we didn't
Yeah.
fill it, so therefore there's, that's savings.
But from a comp standpoint, and I appreciate you adding that labor metric at the bottom, and I think was a recommendation from Mike, just help me understand this, because our compensation year to date is 9,000 favorable to plan. But it says labor per unit is unfavorable to plan, which I know is also the CJC labor. We did not have changes.
CJC is like,
CJC labor. So, but is that what's driving our year-to-date correction of the CJC line being unfavorable 6,357 year-to-date?
your CJC is not, oh, no, they're
That's
actually,
favorable.
yeah, that's favorable. They
Yeah.
actually have.
So plus on the expense side there, the way they hold it, yeah, it's favorable variance.
Yeah, so overall they're favorable, but
That's good.
their compensation lines.
Their compensation lines up, but we're seeing offset. I know we saw some offsets in insurance and areas. So CJC overall is not a problem. They're just sort of overburdening on labor. And is that because we hire people, their rates are coming in higher than budgeted, or how are we having an unfavorable labor variance for
I
CJC?
have to dig into a little bit further. So there's been a lot of movement in that. There is a question currently with the latest labor bill that I'm reviewing for accuracy.
Okay.
So, and it could affect CJC as well.
But the biggest part of that is our labor, it's just allocated to CJC.
There are certain positions that are allocated to CJC versus,
How many positions is that on top of your head?
it's almost a split. What is that kind of like 26?
22 and 22.
Yeah, there you go.
Say again.
22 and 22.
Evenly split.
You would need then a pretty significant unfavorable variance at CJC. If we're down 3% on the pro side, if on a per unit basis, we're up about 4%. So, you would need, north of probably 5-6% unfavorable variance at CJC side to equal out that way.
Is this Canelo Cap have anything to do with this?
Not the fact that they're over budget, no.
Because we're favorable overall, like the 6,000.
Yeah.
So I guess if you don't mind just taking that as a follow-up item to look into, because if we have a run rate issue there, I would like to get to the bottom.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I am looking into the paper, with sub reports and make sure that it's accurate.
And then
Hey, Jim, what's going on with the math in the, I mean, like on the admin costs and the math there, total budget's 1.3, but remaining is 9.
Yeah, that's,
That's a blow.
yeah, Tina, that's the one we flagged a couple of minutes ago. I think it's just a formula.
Oh,
I think.
Okay.
I'll correct it. No worries, Jen. And then the admin expense in the March, the current month, I noticed that one, we're saying that the unfavorable variance of 4,639 was due to staff notices and frequency mailings. I know I'm always mind boggled by how much money we spend on postage, but that just feels like a lot.
It's not postage per se. It's the fee paid to prepare the letters and send them certified.
It's 13.
Because it is done more of a quarterly basis because that's the way we bill. So those go out right after, so that we're getting billed now for what we're on in February, because that was 30 days late. Yeah.
So this is a delinquency letter because someone didn't pay their dues by January 1st. So we're sending the letter, and they also pay a penalty for being late. And I think that penalty is intended to represent like time value of money interest, right? I think we should also try to recoup this $13 if we're sending them a letter. That's a lot of money. And so we're using to pay a third party.
No, we're paying grand managers to do it.
We're paying grant managers to prepare letters.
To basically, to do the statutory notices, which is basically, some inflections, if you don't pay by a certain time, to do all of that per letter, and we can have thousands, but in general, it's like 400 people.
Letters on company application speak.
400
They can't be.
is like 10% of us, we have a 10% delinquency rate.
Not necessarily the one,
Not-
which is like,
Which is late.
They don't pay till they get home, until they get the second time.
No, and I'll own, there was one time I didn't pay my dues on time, so I got paid.
I remember most of it.
But we should recruit this, right?
I think he makes a good point, because in a bank, if you have a overdraft or whatever else, there's a processing.
Some of these fees are a consistent fee, so you're seeing the charge to you, but there is another pass-through that goes to the owner. So there's a $15 or $35 fee that goes to the homeowner and unpassed to you, and that's where you're seeing it here. You'll see it on the homeowner side, we do the collection and funds, the finance service.
No, there is a late fee, I just don't,
Not a late fee.
It's not a late fee, you're not, that's my point, you're not, that's what Andrew was saying. You're not getting the late fee, you ultimately get paid the receivable, but you're not getting the processing charge, I mean, the late fee.
whatever it's in, it's coverage should cover both. Like, if there should be a penalty, there should be coverage costs that we incur, and there should be, in my mind, some time value of money.
Then maybe it won't be 400 if we've got a little disincentive for them just working.
You said the late fee was $35?
No, late fee is. I gotta make something in my head.
I guess to Andrew's point, right, if you're sending a letter out, that letter is on top, because that need to come. There's some time value of money on top of that. I think the interest to make that.
Yeah, so late fee is 25, then there's finance charge, which I believe is 10%.
So the 10% is like the $35 fee.
No, it is $25. Yeah, $25 is late fee, you've gotten almost $15,000 in late fees. So far.
But the 25 offsets, so,
That's kind of the idea, is that it comes in one area and it goes out.
but so in my mind, like, I don't want late fee income or delinquency costs, right? It's like, I feel like we've got a problem, if we've got such a high amount of late fees and things like that. That to me feels like we have to do better education around when to pay. And I know that we probably have a disproportionate amount of this coming from renters or people who aren't, their homes are trying to site out of mind. But I just wonder if there's something that we can do that doesn't feel like spam. That is, maybe it's or something that's not going to be such a surprise for people. Even if it was just sort of a post in one of these Facebook groups or something, remember to pay your dues. It just, I'm shocked to learn we have that much late.
Maybe what we do is we put together a data sheet that gives us a, snapshot of what the situation is. How many people are late each month or each quarter or whatever it is? How many late fees do we have? What are the numbers there? So we can look at it and what's our policy? What's in place right now? And then we can decide what adjustments we should make. And we're sitting here kind of shotgun from a concept standpoint. We're gonna have to look at what we have system today and how do we restructure it to make it more effective.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
As far as education goes, I believe the late fee is already mentioned on the coupons that you get in the mail.
They are,
Right. It's also on the portal.
should be, yeah.
Right. So unless you want to put some Friday flash, it's right there.
So I like that idea because my mind, if you're on the portal, you're already. So it's like that's like, thank you for coming to the website to do what you already.
If you don't go to the portal, you get a coupon book, you mail it. And it's right there on the coupon. So I don't know, people are just forgetful.
We don't want people using coupon books, and that's so old fashioned, incentives and check and everything else. We want them to pay, from the bank account or credit card or whatever it is online.
In
But
that case, maybe
that's that. Do we waive late fees?
I'm not gonna say no, because there are $75 fees.
Yeah,
Sure.
we do waive late fees every once in a while, but it's,
But it's very, very small. It's
yeah,
very-
small. And they go to the board before waiver.
The board does waivers all the time. Every meeting, they've got a list that they go through. I don't know how material that is because it's obviously confidential. But we should review our policy. That's all.
We also just changed who you're supposed to send the checks to. Right? So that could be some of the problems with this.
It's about to be, yes.
No, I think about your business. And Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, thought it was only 48, so whatever, stage transfer. So that's extremely low. And how do you get a cover through on that to resolve it? And then the second thing from that is, Jen, when did these letters go out? 30 days after?
They start getting processed, after the fifth month following due, so like.
So
February
then if
5th.
we're talking January, what kind of communication can be there 2 weeks late or something that is not threatening from a $13 standpoint, but can you not saying, hey, baby deals or something of that nature? You know, that could send out versus $13 letter. Yeah, I like that idea too.
Well, I think we should ask Jim to do an analysis and maybe come with some recommendations.
Well, I can do an analysis, but I don't find the right person for the recommendations.
Be a starting.
So
Some
we
ideas.
talk here, yeah. So anyone have any other thoughts on P and L before we talk maybe on that 1.7?
I just have a quick question. The chief orders are hired and working.
Sarah.
They're doing well. Is there any thought that 2 is not going to be enough at this point? As things pick up?
I think we're good for the, well, I don't wanna.
The recommendation was for the board approving two.
I mean, as the community grows and people are always in a need for staff.
There certainly probably would be the second round of our village.
Well, yeah, things.
We'll see when school gets out and the schools are getting used, things are getting used.
I'll also add in there that with this action plan, we've added a bunch of additional ways to track metrics in terms of hours spent doing different things. So coming into this budget season, if we're seeing a need for additional porters, then we will have kind of some hours worked and cleaning by maintenance teams to kind of support that argument.
Thank you. I had a couple of things, Andrew, you hit what I had. And I think looking at the year to date, especially the quarter, looking at, well, we can look at the anomalies that happen. Just for information, I saw you had 92 resales there first quarter. So if we just extrapolate that for the year, that's on track for 368 sales for the year. We've got 350 budgeted, so activity is high enough to get us to where we need to be. So loss continues and it's not so much.
No, phase 2 will not begin.
So much high speed, but what about cuts?
It could in the fourth quarter, possibly. They're going to start advertising probably late third quarter. But I talked to Adam today. It sounds yeah, maybe a few in December, but nothing ready for.
Okay. Real estate looks pretty good.
But real estate in general, it's picked up quite a bit. People are buying just like homes for sale. So actually, there's a lot more right now than it was. It's not much.
Then something in the replacement department. We had an expense of 142,000 replacement fund for something called Passive Parks Unique Site.
That was Deerwoods and.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was Penny Grove Park.
you should call those out for us, you know, when those happen. You know, we were doing them and everything, but when that number gets processed, we should call it out here or in replace.
Well, it's kind of space reserves. So
Still, but there's a withdrawal, when there's a major withdrawal from one of the funds.
so let me ask you this, how would you like me to do that? Because I can't put it on there. Because that's what happens. So
Can't put it on where.
the P and L direct.
But it could be on this summary sheet, just a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I looked at the operating statements. I just happened to look through the replacement, which I never heard it look at, but I was looking at cash and other things. And I saw that in. I won't have been looking at the replacement fund. P&L for the period, I never saw it.
And I think the wording, to your point, Mike, is particularly vague. Each site, it almost sounds like a top secret project.
Well-
Make sure there's nothing secret about it,
That's
so.
just the way the reserve study is done. Each category, there's like, I forget, whatever, and they all have 15 or 20 things in it, so can't create all of that.
I guess it's
because-
their way for you. You can use the passive parts unique site, which is at the footer on the bottom, with just a little explanation. Anywhere along here with the new site.
I can put something in the summary like you're suggesting. Unfortunately, I don't have that capability.
That's what I did. The reason for it is we're putting our cash in T-bills. So we need to manage our cash balances to be able to pay our bills. We may have to liquidate, some T-bills as time goes forward. So we got to know if we're going to be spending the number. There could be material fees in a particular account. Like right now, we've got the playground. And what's the playground in terms of the capital? Those a portion, it's going to be a replacement. Jeff rates. So there's 100, only 50.
Yeah.
Replacement.
50.
Is that the range?
Yeah, 40 to 50.
Okay. So we've got 350 that's going to come out of there. Our capital fund has in cash 647,000. So, we're going to be okay. And we're replenishing that at $90,000 a month. So when we have to pay that bill and everything, it's okay. But now if you come up with something else that goes to that capital fund, we're not aware of it coming in. Then we've got a cash management. So we've got to be a lot more attentive to cash because we're locking some money into some investments. We could liquidate them, but we just need to be proactive in terms of when that's coming.
Then you have the academy route paying, which I think is 200,000 as well.
I think to your point, that's.
That should be replacement. That should be replacement. Yeah, that should be. We've got a good cash in replacement. Cash is almost $1,946,000. So we didn't put as much into.
For example, would be
The capital fund will have to liquidate it. But that plan is a year away before you start paying the bills.
Yeah, that's what we stand.
Trust me, it's gonna be a year away. Sometimes it's hell.
I think that, we've kind of adjusted our reporting and how we look at the P and L. I think, the next sort of evolution of how we do this is when we have to get to sort of what cash flow forecast. And I love your idea that you're having the footer below the replacement fund, but I think Jen used our canned report, so it's like not like we can put.
This one, I can't really,
But I think I'm going to the third page of our summary document. I appreciate you putting together this cash flow page. But I wonder if like the next sort of phase of this, rather than this, maybe, we kind of have like, here's what our cash was at the beginning of like the year or the quarter, whatever, like, here's what collections we expect to get, here's what sort of major outflow, and then here's what we think our cash is going to look. And I'm not talking about doing some like nitty gritty detail.
no. So that's sort of the what I mean, is maybe adding to the, anything that might have been spent, what you're saying, and then also what upcoming.
Yeah, looking at it for, because it'll all come in a quarter.
Because we know-
Projects are complete.
Yeah, and then it's a discussion topic in the meeting, because it's like, we know from like an operating fund, like this is our balance at the beginning. We have collections each quarter, we have a budget for all our spend. So then from a replacement standpoint, we can do this impact thing, like, how much is our contribution? What have we spent here today, and then the amounts that are sort of forecasted based on the sort of study that we can talk about them. And then I think, we'll have a much better sense of how to manage the investments. And I don't think any of us think we're at a point right now where we've got to like liquidate anything, but if we do have a bunch of these, they're 6-digit type things. So, and then same thing with capital. And I think that's where you and I know for a couple of times refresh that capital. Theoretically, we should have a roll forward for capital as well.
has the reserve study been updated?
It's in progress.
We just signed the contract to have it. Well, it's just started.
How much is a contract to do a reserve study? This one was 30,000. And is that an unbudgeted operating expense or not?
No, I was budgeted.
16,000.
That's the first one.
It's a reserve.
It's not a.
It's a reserve expense to do a reserve study.
Every 3 years.
It's really not a reserve expense.
It really
It's a
is.
study that's really an operating expense, but
But
then I'll let it go. The things that are sitting.
we as communities that do reserve, we have communities that do operating. But it's budgeted in.
budgeted, sir, okay.
So this report, it's wonderful. With these 3 pages, it's come a long way, so it's really good.
I'm glad.
I-
We'll
I-
continue to improve as you
Yeah,
guys.
just evolutionary.
So we-
Course here, and
Thank you for putting-
what I would
It's so
think,
wonderful.
Well, I'll accept your commission.
the organization, etc.
Yeah.
But I think maybe you should present this to the board for as your finance report. I pull it up on the screen and I would walk through this and I would tell them, this, don't worry about going through all the pages. This will tell you everything you want to know. You're like, really?
And that may be true. That's just not what I've been asked to do so far from the board, but.
Well, ask me.
So,
Ask
What
Laura.
was the recommendation from this committee to do more of this 3-page snapshot versus the documents and everything, and all the statements?
Yeah, because one of our, so Andrew, last year, at the beginning of our term, one of our senior goals was just more accessible to times. Around that, different questions that you had, I think the end goal of this was, but several goals, really. One, it's easier for us to talk about people. Sorry, you don't need to see them visually line that needs from all the different patients, right? And then if you're sort of passerby in the community, I think the vision was like, this could even, once we finalize it, gets happened quarterly to a, Friday flash take, Monday matters, whichever. And people who want to be plugged into the financials could, at a level that's accessible to them. So that was the goal.
Yeah, no, I can support these 3 pages as being part of the board packet for the meetings.
They are.
And,
they are.
but
That's
not
what-
having the rest of it, the rest of it can be on our webpage somewhere that someone's access up and dig deeper, they can.
I would think that when you do the financial recap, because we do the finance portion and then we go into committees and I talk about this meeting, I think it could be just this. I don't think we need to go through anything else. This is what you should share on the screen and talk about.
And then I think in the conversation, it can be, these are the questions that were asked. And it's like, we don't have to have the whole, 45-minute conversation, right? But it's like, I think it just sort of goes into preempting the questions people might have. Because I look at this and I say, we have a few things we have to look at, but I think generally we're not ready to we're in a good place this year. And I just don't think that probably 95% of the community is false on that, when it is a good story. And then it's like at the end of the year, like, I don't love that some people's takeaways that we're over budget by 200,000, but my mind, it's like, that's such old business. Like, we were kind of forecasted to close the year 200,000 from the day one. So I just like sort of upskilling everybody in that way. Is everyone okay if this is what is used for the update to the board? Yes.
Yes, I think it should be. I mean, as Andrew said, the board member can go and look at the detail if they want to, it's still there, you still get it. But I think all the pages you have at the board, typically 500 pages, I think having something that's on a couple of pages that summarizes it. Jim, once in a while, I would put a little qualitative description of what was going on in the, on the email, right? I like the way those were working. Might want to figure out how to put that in here too, maybe someplace, just 4 or 5 months qualitatively. That gives a snapshot of what the period was like, or date or anything.
Okay.
And just only 4 or 5 months.
Okay. So just a little summary.
And it's just like a text box that goes in the one.
Very-
Something. It doesn't have to be a separate thing.
But this is really good. Thinking that we didn't have anything like this here,
Sure.
it's got a lot of ways.
And really, I know you present the financials to the board, but we've all seen it and we've been studying it. It's really the community
Right.
with that presentation. So this recap makes that.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just that wasn't what was asked originally to do, so.
You can always freelance, we don't have to ask you everything. Kind of figure out what you gotta do. Feel free.
And I'll say that right before that portion, I'll say presenting these. I mean, they're gonna get the recap of this conversation right now, so they're gonna know this is coming.
Say one real nitpicky thing. We call it net cash flow at the bottom of the category. revenue less expenses, about net cash flow.
Oh, yeah, I meant to change that.
Yeah, surplus,
Because if
we
you-
use surplus deficit of the other, pay it out, it's not net cash flow. They won't just update.
Pick it up, Andrew. Andrew presented to me that way and I changed it for, borrowed this format for someone else. I did change it on this one.
No, I am all in favor of surplus / deficit.
He gets paid on cash flow at Disney, he gets a bonus. That's why he was thinking. About it. I have one other financial question. Can you give us a quick update on banks? I know the guys did something there, but why did we have to ask people to change where their payments were going? I think it's going to block them grant managers now.
All the service areas, because the request was to change them from PacWest to CIT, that comes with a block box. So part of that means that they have to send the payments somewhere else. So new coupons and everything were sent out. As, memos went out, if you will, letters, it's all sent out to the homeowners, letting them know starting May 1st, that the payments need to go somewhere else.
So we didn't bring them across when we brought over the residents. We just brought across the citizens, homeowners, not the service areas.
We brought over everyone who pays to CROA, and then we're bringing over the specific service areas now. Yeah, we didn't do them all at the same time.
Somehow I had the impression that we had brought all
So,
dues over.
well, the service areas, they pay money specific to the service area, and then they pay money to CROA. So whatever money got to CROA, they had to switch, but they still were paying.
I gotcha.
Does that
The
make sense?
service area for the lawns and everything.
Right.
That's not
That
fine.
amount they would pay, most of them are monthly, that amount stayed at PacWest until now. Now everyone's gonna get switched over.
Got it. Got it. Okay, and to the point earlier, I'm on ACH for the house in Spring Lake, so I don't have to do anything.
We shouldn't have to do anything, just get pulled to different.
Mike, I couldn't remember what the cause was.
Because you guys didn't want to go with PacWest anymore.
No, it's right there. I see that in your notice, the disclaimer, the first 4 words are the finance commission. recommended." It's like those assholes that wanted to. So call them, don't call ours. I read between the lines when I saw that statement, read that, I'm like, come on, you gotta be kidding.
I got 50 calls. How many did you get?
None.
She said it was recommended. Finance committee's name is in there.
It was very firm.
It was very, I felt very seen. I think the first draft, Mike Jackson, that was changed.
It's been-
So on banking, Andrew, I saw your note. I think I responded to, it's fantastic. I 100% support that. And my perspective is, like, on stuff like that, I'm happy for our community first, but I don't think it has to. If there was ever a situation where it wasn't the finance committee before, maybe we should just do that. Okay, I think, there should be a blanket, like, Jason Brave. Yeah, because I took the conservative approach as far as, yes, I was sitting in there with Don and myself. Is that appropriate for me to act without the rest of the board or either committee? But so I think it's something that I'm more comfortable vetting with you guys, running on our April meeting. Everyone agrees with it as an action item and move forward, rather than anyone think that the treasurer is taking steps outside of the board committee. No, and I hear you, and I think that's definitely a responsible position to take given the structure environment that we're in. But in my mind, our recommendation had been get the PacWest, get into CIT, sort of. You're not talking about taking something from fully liquid and putting it in something that's locked up, right? It's just it's like going for checking account in the state, right? So it's just sort of I think people can't do like the 6 withdrawals.
It's a no-brainer.
Right. So I
We
appreciate
should be
that.
authorized to do no-brainers.
Yes.
As a treasurer, when things just make sense, we won't make sense. Well, I understand that. It's a problem. If you screw up, we'll tell you.
Yeah. No, but I think you did the right for this one, but I'm 100%.
Price of
Like, I'll make a motion to recommend. 6 other board members, so. That's okay, I don't see it.
As long as you don't make a mistake, it doesn't matter.
It can't be. So I'll officially make a motion to recommend doing what Andrew said for switch to that account. Up there, deleting the account to get platinum.
Second.
Can you get a little more specific?
Can you read your email again?
It's just, I think it's a regions. premium-
Number or whatever it's called.
Premium account, savings account, and changing it to a platinum savings account. I'll get you the verbiage.
Okay.
Exactly.
Andrew, is that you making the move?
So the original plan was to close these accounts. It's not the plan.
We can never close them because it's tied to the lists. So until that, some solution for that, regions will always be there.
Was that when we were true? Yeah, we were opening the truest account. For it to, because they won't take it, American Express, they take Visa for the. Also, the cost.
So the official motion is to get a higher interest rate by changing our current money market account to the business premium money market account. Where we will earn 3.44% compared to 1%. I would put the numbers in. Is that the
No, I guess the business premium money market doesn't change.
So I'll make the motion, Jim, you still second? Correct, no, in favor?
I. Looks like there's $300,000 in there, right? 150 for the local store, 155.
That's a big deal. That's real money. It's 3,000.
The March financials did not include the statements, it's because we didn't have access to them. But it would have just included a few dollars on interest.
And not having, well, 1%, not having access was driven by change over signatories. And is that just a function of a greater than normal degree of turnover? Like, because normally, because I would love to sort of structure it, because you're on a different term. You know, was done. You're 1 year, and it's not gonna be out of things because Cindy on the fire, so have someone stay on board and get there and fly. They just would replace it. Would replace, because I think we just sort of have to have this in a situation, never like that. With the gap, especially if you give a higher interest rate. Of course.
Yeah, I don't know if Jennifer, you can, or Lauren, if you're still on, that should be something at the March 1st organization meeting. An action item for the treasurer and president to take care of. You know, beginning of March at any term, so there isn't a big category.
Okay. Lauren, are you there? Make sure that this gets added to the agenda. This is so loud. For us, that's.
Anything else on banking? We don't have any T-bills coming up as far as governmental schedule.
There are 3 in May.
I thought we talked this last time, though, and we agreed there was no.
Well, the action item for me is rolling for this.
Okay, no,
Every year.
that's fair feedback. So
So
I don't have any, I don't have any recommendation to change our standing recommendation.
Renewal of 12 months.
that's what I meant. Yeah.
So no new action.
No new action.
Real quick, I just want to clarify, the action item for the board meeting is changing the type.
Yeah. Great.
And, sort of on that topic, right, because this will officially be our highest yielding account, is that right? Highest yielding account when we have investment T-bills, because we're not getting this kind of rate, CIT,
No, you're not getting this for CIT.
the 3.44. So I guess the other kind of conversation that should happen is like for money that we are not investing, that we don't need for sort of day-to-day funds, we should come up with a policy for moving some of that money into the accounts that have the highest interest rates, or at a minimum, seeing if this is equivalent product to this money market type account. CIT.
Does anybody check that? That's a good question.
Let's do it.
CIT.
Check what,
If there's an alternative account, much like there's that region, so we just have to change the title.
I can follow up with banking and find out.
I know it's 0.07 or something.
So
Yeah,
CIT is a savings connect account, we can earn 4.65%.
Exercise.
Yes, same exercise. So can we make it like with a sort of similar recommendation that if there's such an account at CIT, then the board is empowered to chase right into.
Looks like you have platinum savings for 5.05.
That's good.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
Because in my mind, like, then whatever's not in T-bill is still working for us.
We've got 300,000 in CIT right now. It's probably a little, there'll be high points for the collections coming.
Well, your replacement was almost money. So
That should all be,
Well, that's in cash, that's CIT. That's much sure. Oh. Like we're done.
was it's like a $50,000.
$1,031,781. Woo. 50,000.
Yeah,
That's a head count.
don't get on any ideas.
No, it's not count.
I mean, at the very least, if placement isn't meeting those kind of funds, we can get it over to Truist.
Remind me what we're getting in choice, Jen.
The most recent one was 4.8.
But I thought our account at Truist was only 40 T-bills.
It is.
So, because I guess where with this is, like, I'm not actually in favor of removing the Truist's department from the recurring actions, like as in the end of this expiration of this term, us. But, if we can get 5% at CIT, I'd certainly have 5% at CIT.
And just utilize that.
Yeah, as a simplicity, because then you have it, right, all the number processes run with that, and you can probably transfer it quickly between the different
CIT.
And then we keep Truist clean as our investment portfolio. But yeah, if we have $1 million in recurring fund, and we have 300,000 in the operating, then I can put up whatever residual you have, all that 35%.
Well, you are technically earning a little more than 0.7 because some of that money from CIT gets swept to the FDIC and then you're earning some more funds individually. So the 0.7 is really the base. That should be anything, I believe you're set at 245,000. So I think we have to go back to basic. So it is technically
So-
better, but I don't think it's necessarily for.
No, so let's round it up and say 1%. It's still a 4% swing.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I will look at the right away and let you guys know. So you know.
Thank you.
Jen, help me here. On the replacement fund, we're showing at Truist that we have $1 million. And also then cash for 946,000. That Truist investment replacement, that's the T, right?
The investment part is the T-bills.
The other is the cash.
The other is the actual cash.
That's CIT. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, that 900, you could choose
Yeah.
to move some of that to Truist for another T-bill. But if CIT offers something that we can take advantage of, we can do that too. So I can find that information out.
Well, I think we wanted to keep some cushion in our accounts and not put everything in T-bills.
Well, I
Not just to get
understand.
pushed the envelope. But most certainly we need to get to 5%. We don't need to get to 0.%. If we get 5%. That's basically the same with the T-bill.
Right.
I mean, there is no,
But I still like, T-bills to protect from your guaranteed consideration. Let's see, that savings rate could be 4%. So that's a much more adjusting, but yeah, exactly. Right now.
if the T-bill rate moves, the bank offered rates are going to move too.
Right, we're not going to.
Yes, you're locked into the 12 months.
Yeah. Is there a recommendation to move, to open a plan savings with CIT? How much should we do that? So my perspective on that is how easy is it for you to move money out of the savings account to pay for your day-to-day expenses?
So that's what we can do that. As long as it's with the same bank.
Just remember, savings accounts, you're looking to 5 transactions per month.
This, we may not have that same.
So I'm not having.
That should be a problem.
With the- How it's scaled for-
You're right.
You're gonna plan.
If there's $1,000, take out.
Yeah.
So my recommendation then would be virtually 100%. That CIT should be, less whatever reasonable amount for the day.
Absolutely.
That's,
So we don't have anything in 0.07. We don't know whether we retire.
That, yeah, I need to find it.
Yeah, so then
they
we have
have
like
it
confines.
says we can't.
That's a rule that we should. Yeah, like, it wouldn't make any sense for it to be policy that we have to keep our time for wheeling. Yeah, so yeah, so the recommendation virtually all less what is the day to day. And then I would actually even be open to, like, I don't think I quite realized we had over $1 million in sort of cash, like, I'd be in favor of whacking 250 T-bills in 3 months, 6 months, whatever, at that balance. Because that million is less than 142 that we spent, I think you said, what, 200 and change for the Academy Road stuff? I think we still have a pretty healthy machine.
Can you look at what the replacement budget is for the year, the expenditures from the study? What will be the expense this year?
Sure.
And tell us what that number is. Then we'll know where it's going to be from a cash flow throughout the year. Can trim some off and one better.
If you're not doing it for 3 months, you should just do it now. Because we'll need it in 3 months. We don't. Yeah, so don't let that wait until May.
But then how about this? Because I think it's virtually the same, right? Let's just prioritize getting it into a high yield account. And then in the next meeting.
Yeah.
We can debate with Siegel stuff.
To your point, the only thing is you're protected for 12 months, but right now we've got time to think about it and work on it. Just get it in.
Yeah, almost,
Yeah.
just trading environments, 1 to 2 reductions each year, so I would expect elections for at least 2 months.
I'm reading that it's might be more reductions.
Might be that too, yeah.
But to me, the thing's going like this.
7-0.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we do it in May, next month, then.
Anything else on banking?
You guys need to do a formal motion on that?
Oh, on the, so I'll make a formal motion to recommend that we explore within the confines of, our agreement. What we need to do to move our money into, what was the name of that account, Andrew? Platinum Savings, the Platinum Savings account at CIT. Create one for each of our operating recurring capital funds. And then, pursue moving virtually on. Recommend to the board? Recommendations to the board, sure. Well, is it a recommendation to the board to recommend?
You don't want to wait for me to keep information because depending on what I get, you can change your mind.
That's what I was wondering.
Just do that caveat in your motion.
We can, well, you could transfer on a daily basis if you need to.
I guess I just don't like the time.
You gotta get the information,
Yes, but if I come back and it's so like, the best we can do is 2, and you guys can, instead of doing that, I want you to do it over here. I can't move hundreds of thousands of dollars without, I can't do it with your signature,
So I
so
would only get 2.
I'm just throwing that out there.
So we can do both if it's unanimous. So how about our recommendations, we get information, right? And then as soon as we have more information, let us know, we'll paper it over, Because I just don't want to wait for a meeting, we're gonna bunch of new people in finance committee. Are gonna be as loud in mind as I am. And I just don't want it to have in mind.
Jeff, can you, do a motion to open the Platinum Savings account on the board of directors next week? And then depending on timing, we can hold off.
And it's appropriate to do the diligence and see what the replacement common expenses are going to be for the year. But the reality is, you should be able to do just a transfer. And you can take it out of that Platinum Savings and move it into the replacement checking. Where you write the check
And you want that at
at
read.
a moment's notice.
That's CIT.
There's 2, there's CIT.
No, I'm talking about the platinum savings.
Yeah, that's CIT.
That's it.
They were done with the financial engineering.
So let's talk the capital management process. And kind of in partner with that, I would love to talk about questions a little bit. Like I kind of feel strongly we should set if it's gonna last more than a year, if it's above a certain dollar amount, it should come from the recurring fund, capital funds, the operating fund. And I think that will align this with a lot of capital companies think about it. And then there would be And I don't think it's really sort of for the board to worry about as much, 'cause you're getting a spending request, you're evaluating the substance of the spending request. You shouldn't have to worry about the geography. I think that just kind of framework makes it so that is sort of outside of the conversation. You guys just approve it. And then if it's sort of something that's big and new, it's capital. If it's something that's a replacement, then it's inherently part of the replacement. So I wanted to get the group's feedback on A, value of that, and B, exceptions.
Decided with thresholds or maybe to 5,000. Yeah. So.
So
It's really the useful life. It's really what it comes down to. That's a constant definition, but the replacement one, called the recurring. I know, but that was just over the top of the same. It's not in the replacement study. Technically, I don't think we can take it out. Those are designated funds for specific groups.
and
We don't have the luxury, if it's not in the designate, we don't have the luxury of going in and saying this is a
But
replacement.
that just basically just exactly what you said, if it's a replacement, I mean, it would already exist in the.
But it has to be in, we can't
Use the
classify
reserve
funds,
funds,
it
it
has to be
in the reserve. fund.
I understand, but as soon as we buy something brand new, the next time it'll be a reserve study, so therefore. you have to-
something there. Yes.
So, I think to your point, some things that aren't in the reserve study.
Expense.
They're expense today, but it could just be small dollar capital out of the capital fund. And I want to be clear, like, this isn't trying to like use the never ending mentioned capital fund to pay for all of our problems. I just think it's substance our capital. And I think when we have sort of unbudgeted items in operating, in effect, what happens is when we overrun operating, just sort of like reducing our retainer, which is effectively our capital anyway. So to me, like, I just have to be better at when I say replacement versus capital, but it's the substance to be the same. I think we've made an internal distinction of funds that are capital.
If an item comes up and it's not in the reserve, the replacement study, so if there's not money for it sanctioned there, rather than going to operating, it's a year rate, bigger ticket item. Then rather than go to the operating fund, we go to capital. Yeah,
Well, the capital fund, there's gonna be something new that you.
That's not the definition of capital.
no, it could be a replacement item. Forget replacement budget, so if you're replacing capital item with a new capital item, greater than a year useful life, and bigger ticket item, take it from capital. You don't drop it in the operating.
And that's why I
It's
said.
not a default to the operating.
Yeah.
It's not a default to the operating. If it satisfies the criteria for capital fund.
So what did you say? Because
I forgot. If a item comes up, it's not in the replacement fund,
It's not like,
unidentified replacement. It's really not much of it, just identified for multiple years. So designated column. Item comes up that's not designated in the replacement fund. If it meets the criteria as a capital item, the funding will come from the capital fund, not the operating. I don't know that our default position has been, if it's not in the replacement fund, we can go to the operating. We know people have made a decision on that already.
I think the definition of understanding capital is different.
Gary,
I'm just going on watching for 8 years. Oh, it's a shame that it was never written down. We've had serious treasurers that explained it to us, the audience, over the years. But there are some items that are not on the reserve study that break. So if the air conditioner goes out of this building, it wasn't on the reserve study, it just broke. So where are you gonna get the $15,000? It's a replacement.
that's a repair. If you need a replacement.
It's a replacement of the capital fund.
Correct. If you're repairing it, it's operating, but if you're replacing it, you should.
We probably, and I'm guilty of this in the budget process, like, decided to sell most of the wind, and I don't think we have a huge contingency for emergency repairs. In my mind, that should be an operating expense, but if you're replacing it, see, expectedly, it wasn't designated replacement fund. So, And I think that's why, like historically, we thought about the capital fund as this pool of money that just only ever grows, except when we have a big ticket thing
For projects,
projects. It's a project fund.
not part of the operation projects.
And in theory, like when we go to do our capital plan, like when it's done, it's like you've got the capital balance, this is our, you know, how much resources to grow each year. You know, then there's placeholders for big ticket items, so then in theory, each year, I mean, remember, maybe you have a $50,000 placeholder for small dollar jobs, or, and I'm totally making up 50,000. But that's how I think with public ownership is too, you have, you know, sort of a, like an allotment for direct purchase capital or small dollar stuff.
Back to the air conditioner example, if you need to replace an air conditioner that already exists, why would that not come from replacement?
That's what I was gonna say.
If it wasn't designated in the replacement.
It is.
Well, it is.
These are,
We're saying if it's not.
Okay.
So if it's not,
Well,
because it's not in there technically, we can't assign dollars to it out of the replacement.
Like if something that happened in Village Springs.
Got missed, yeah. But it should be, everything should be, those kind of things all should be in the.
Well, in 3-year cycle station.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be, nothing in Island Village is in our research study.
all I want to say is, watching the board for all these years, I can say for a fact, we've had major failures of air conditioner, ice machine, you name it. And we bought it with replacement funds because it was in the reserve. This whole building is in the reserve study. We're just talking about a piece of the building. And they've always, the board has gone back and said, it's the air conditioner, comes a replacement of capital. But I'm all in favor of, if you want to put it in writing and make a definition, it'll stay with us for eternity, as long as the board agrees with it.
Yeah, and I think that's, I hope that we're not in the business of having these items frequently. In my mind, it's just we got a couple of variances in the pot, right? It's like something doesn't have to be a big project for it to be.
No, 851 is trouble with your AC right now.
But that will be if we get a new air conditioner for 851, that's gonna be from reserve funds. Right, because
It should be.
Because it was designated.
It should be in there, but it may not be enough to buy one.
That's true. That's very
and
true.
that's a different conversation, but yes, and it's probably not the year for it to be replaced. Actually, it's supposed to be replaced, I think, in 2018, so.
Think of Jared, the example of the playground. So that's in the reserve fund, I mean, the replacement fund.
Yeah.
That's there, but it's not enough. So we could make a decision to go to the operating fund or go to the capital. Because it's a playground, and now we'll enter in as a new item, replacement fund going forward, we'll take it to capital. Any other item that came up like that, if it wasn't in the replacement fund, or if it's underfunded, we go there, get supplemented with the capital.
So I will say that's a big task for this committee next year is taking the reserve study that we get and then correcting it for what it needs.
I don't think you have to go through that exercise because it'd be hypothetical, not gonna be accurate. I think you wait till you have an event that happens, and you apply this lens to it to interpret what should be.
What if the reserve study comes out, doesn't say any trunks?
So the reserve study is typically, it's not a to-do list, typically, because when they do the reserve study, they may come out, but they put your components into a system, and that system spits out. Your AC should last X amount of years, if you have X amount of years of use, so like, but a lot of instances, you find that it maybe need to be replaced sooner, or when we look at it in that particular year, it doesn't necessarily need to be replaced.
Like the last reserve study said, the playground cost $160,000. That's now not the case. Now, maybe it'll come back, you know, a lot has changed in 3 years financially. That's something that at least needs to be reviewed. Or, yeah, I mean, there are 10 things that are found that need to be widely corrected in the celebration is different.
Yeah, you can go through it at a high level and say,
That's what I,
yeah, anomalies, and pick them out and say, we don't.
like at schools, we have proposals in normal community, so maybe we need more.
Take a swing at that, and then make, as long as you meet the funding threshold that the study says, then you're okay.
Right, I think we're just acting.
Yeah.
Definitely not taking it.
Yeah, that would.
When do we think the new reserve study is gonna get done?
Right in the middle of budget season.
It usually takes 7 months, yeah,
7 months?
Especially with a property.
not 7, 7.
June or July.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like 60 days from the approval.
The good
And
thing,
they did the one last time, so they should have. to figure out everything. Then they're gonna have that little component to it, so that's the one that's good. Yeah. We'll have to look.
they had historical debt.
Okay. Because on the last one, a lot of things that were on there were last 5 years, so 3 years. A lot of it was not enough. These models.
And that's finance needs to be looked at and enhanced where necessary. It'd be better to plan for it now than have this playground thing happen.
I think that's probably the biggest challenge for the master plan advisory group is there hasn't been enough done to maintain what we've had now. So once the reserve study comes back, there might be even fewer dollars for us to do maybe. So as we get that information in, make sure we have the appropriate amounts for replacing things like that to get up to stop. So we're using them on the
Well, you'll be getting your survey on Friday.
It's
not gonna be mailed, so saving $8,000. Because we made that decision.
So would it be saving 8,000 or just not having an $8,000 exposure?
We're not having the expense, so, and if you don't have your email account, it's zero that.
But generically, hundreds of people though. There's a lot of people.
15%.
I have 15%. This year.
No, but you don't get,
But your email is.
it's like getting the announcements.
Okay, yeah, online.
I thought you had to register with an email address.
But you don't have to register to pay your bill.
So do people pay the bills and gas? Who does that? Like, no, seriously, like, they use that on the finance.
They're start paying online.
Yeah.
Here's a coupon, man. Yeah.
We're probably 80 to 90.
On the subject of MC. For you specifically as the liaison, this is that. Can you talk to that group about making sure that, I don't know if maybe there doesn't need to be a joint meeting between finance and that group, but I feel like there needs to be conversation here about that. Is that a plan?
It's not a plan, but until we see some, all the new committees and that kind of stuff, I think that's what should be brought up. Because once the survey comes back, you have a clear picture. Plus, we're working with CCDD because they're going through the whole process with the community center, coordinating them. Then absolutely, because if there's another 4 or 5 items besides the community center that everybody really wants to see done, then there should be a joint committee because that we got to put estimates in for all those 4 or 5 new things and see where that money's going to come from, what it spent, particularly with town hall. So
So because you will still be the finance representative for MPAC, no matter what, if you're on this or not next year. So if you can keep that, that's a problem.
So if I get thrown off of this committee next year, okay.
Which that's not looking to be the case.
No, it's fine.
Just for sake of clarity, you still are the finance.
I did like a ghost.
Jared's helping his best, he said, that's not looking.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet, you look fine. All the bullshit happens at the board meeting.
Oh, Celia loves me, so, yeah.
What I found interesting is you say the state $8,000. It's complete about that. So a previous meeting, we're talking about the different methods of getting out survey money against laboring. This is a project that could potentially be an investment of $20 to $30 million or something like that. Community. If you guys are equivalent over how you're going to collect the information, it's vital to making the decision on $8,000 research.
We're we also want to take a lead of this antiquated process that is done by sending out letters. As an example, I got a letter from Covenants because we had just cleaned a pot in the backyard and happened to walk by, still in the backyard. Yeah. So rather than just someone sending a quick email saying, hey, you gotta get that pot, I got 3 letters. Even though I said immediately, within 10 minutes of getting the first letter, I put it, it's not there. Then they come out and re-inspect another letter. Okay.
We have a lot of bureaucracy. I once got a letter about. Too far into it. It's
I
like-
got burgled on mailbox.
How long ago was that?
Been a while.
Okay.
It predated my grandparents.
There was also an analysis of, if we spend $8,000 to send out the letters, how many more will we get? And it was like, negative. Based on voting statistics. So it wasn't just, don't do it.
Sorry. We can move on.
He's trying to go back to the way you were saying, are you almost looking for like a bad debt allowance, but on like a replacement allowance from the capital fund that would be useful if something isn't within a replacement?
It's like a balance. For me, it's just sort of, like better market effort for what this fund is, right? Because it's like in my mind, the replacement fund is just earmarked capital versus designated items, right? You know, it's the remaining items, right? It's not just project, it should be correct. Project.
They call it.
Yeah, that's all nice. And it's just about kind of creating frameworks that we don't have that. We don't need something. That's what we didn't have a class in the first place. So I'm usage.
Yeah, I mean, you don't budget it, but it's just that fund is accessible for expenses if it meets the criteria. It's there.
It makes sense for a determination, certain dollar amount that goes to have a decision made as to this is.
In my mind, I think this is pretty interesting, right? Because like if we have a policy, it could go in the board packet as such and such amount from this place, and then the reason that it was designated as from that place is because we have this cabinet policy, saying it's over here, it's over that.
But as far as, they're not going to know when they approve something.
No, but I would argue
They
that
should,
should be
yeah.
different words, right? That should
They
be,
should be putting whatever expense is being approved, where it came from, whether it's 5,000 from reserves or 5,000 for capital, whatever it may be, that should be
It's,
part of what the actual action is.
it's required that the board know where it comes from. It's the board, know. The management company is required to put the location. In order to vote on it, we need to.
but I guess I want people to focus on the substance.
But I agree with you, I think we should be doing the capital side versus not. Makes sense, but it's not in the replacement, so capital should be that stuff.
Can we keep that done?
Does anyone have any? So any committee comments or board comments or members comments or area that you want to or? All right, so I'm just,
So you guys think volunteering this back here, volunteering again next year. We'll see you again, see how next week goes. So appreciate giving back to the community. We'll find this stuff. So thank you all.
again, people like that, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So.
All in favor?
You know,
Now I made a speech the last 2 meetings.